The cello is the instrument that you're going to be learning about today. This instrument can sing like none other. And when you know how to take it out of the case properly, how to set the bow properly, how to sit in the right way, how to set the end pin, how to make your first sound, you'll be on your way to a lifetime of joy playing this instrument. It's one of the most popular. It's such a fantastic instrument, capable of so many sounds. I'm Daniel Bartholomew Poyser, Toronto Symphony Orchestra Principal Education Conductor, and the cellist who will be teaching you is the Toronto Symphony Orchestra's cellist, Winona Zelenka. And she's wonderful. Please pay close attention to everything that she teaches you, because if you get set up correctly, you will be well on your way. And because this is a video, you can stop at any time and practice the things that Winona is going to be teaching you. And if you still have questions after she's done, then you can email us at schoolconcerts@tso.ca. That's schoolconcerts@tso.ca, and we will do our absolute best to make sure that you have the answers you need to continue your journey of music with the cello. So let's get right to it. Let's join Winona in the lesson.
Hi everyone, my name is Winona Zelenka and I play cello with the Toronto Symphony. And I'm here today to help you to get to know your new best friend. I love the cello because of its deep, rich sound, and also because it feels so natural to play. It rests close to you, and so it feels like you and the cello are singing together. So you've got your new friend. How exciting is that? I'm going to give you some tips on how to take the cello and bow safely out of the case. It's the same whether it's a soft case or a hard case. You'll notice that one side of the cello has an arc or bump, and that's where the bridge is. The other side is flat. You want to be very, very careful of the bridge side and make sure that the cello never is lying down on that side, but always on the back, because this part is very fragile, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The first thing to come out and the last thing to go away is the bow. So I'm going to take my bow out and put it somewhere safe. I'm putting it on the music stand. Now that the bow is safe, we can open the cello case. Unzip. Still holding firmly, I reach in and grasp the neck. I'm going to use whichever hand is comfortable to take the case off. So for me, I'll grasp with my left hand the neck of the cello, and I'm taking the case off with my right hand. I'm taking the part over the bridge off first, the fragile part, and then lifting it over the head. There we go. And there it is. Cello is out. So let's just talk a little bit about the parts of the cello. The neck, which is where we are holding it, is attached to the body, which is this whole part here. That's the body. The sides of the body are called the ribs. And at the top of the neck is the scroll, which looks like an old rolled up manuscript, and that's why it's called a scroll. And then it's got tuning pegs, which is where the strings are attached, and the strings come all the way down and attach over the bridge to these other tuning pegs. Then after that, there's a tailpiece and the end pin at the bottom, which is how we adjust the height of how the cello sits. It pulls in and out. Now, the bridge that we were talking about is here in the middle, and it is quite fragile because it's only a thin piece of wood, and the strings are stretched very tightly over it with a lot of pressure on it. And that's why we have to be very careful of it, because there's a lot of tension happening here. One way you can be careful with the cello is how you put it down. You grasp it by the neck and by a rib, and you set it down on its side next to you. And you always make sure that you're close to your cello. If you can't be around it, you put it back in its case. I also suggest that you keep the end pin in, because people passing by don't see a cello sometimes because it's low down. They can easily trip over the end pin or the cello itself. So don't leave your cello alone. Let's talk about the bow. This wonderful thing that we play with, the bow, is really a stick. A really nice stick. At one end there's a rectangular part called the frog, and at the other end is the tip. And stretched between those two ends is horsehair. And yes, it really does come from the tail of a horse. We tighten the horsehair by turning this screw at the bottom of the frog. We turn it clockwise. And you turn it until your pinky would fit between the stick and the horsehair in the middle of the bow, about here. But hopefully you can measure that without actually touching the horsehair. We try never to touch the horsehair because the oil from our skin kind of wrecks it. So you can hold the bow at the frog to play, you can hold it by the stick, but try never to touch the horsehair. You'll also want to put rosin on the bow sometimes. Rosin is this hard, sticky material that we use to help the horsehair grip the strings better. It comes in a very breakable cake that's usually wrapped in a cloth or in a little case. So you very carefully hold the bottom of it and expose just the top surface, and then you rub it on your horsehair from the frog all the way to the tip, like so, about 3 times. 1, 2, 3, using some pressure, and that puts rosin on the horsehair. And how often should you do that? Well, let's say you're practicing every day, which I certainly hope you are. Every 3 or 4 days should be fine. So how far out do you pull your end pin in order to play? Well, a good way to figure out whether you've got it right is to put the cello straight up and down next to you with no heels on. And if the top of the scroll is in line with your nose pretty much, then that should be a good height for you. Now that we've got the end pin at the proper length, let's discuss how to sit when you play the cello. You should sit in the front half of the chair, not right on the edge and not all the way back, somewhere in the middle. Your feet should be planted nice and flat on the floor in a very balanced position so that you could get up at any time without using your hands like this. It's important to have really good posture when you play the cello. A nice straight back and square shoulders. Now let's pick up the cello. It's important to be careful that you're not going to poke any holes into anything with your end pin. I use an end pin strap. You can also use a rubber donut. Hold the cello straight out in front of you like so, and then rest it gently a little bit to the left at heart level on your chest. The peg box or your C peg should be right under your left ear. Now, having this great posture means that the cello can move easily and you can move easily, and you're not leaning on the cello, it's leaning on you. Now we'll talk about the bow. We can practice a proper bow grip using a pencil. Let's have a look at our right hand. Above the knuckles are the first joints of the fingers, and that is where we are going to grip the bow. So bend them a little, and then bring your thumb around to touch between the second and third fingers at that first joint. Let's try it with the pencil. Hold the pencil with your left hand and just flop your hand down with that first joint touching the pencil. And then curl your thumb under to touch between fingers 2 and 3. Great, so now we'll try it with the bow. Hold the stick with your left hand firmly, remember not the hair. Relax your hand and put it on the bow with the first joints touching the stick and the fourth finger touching the silver part that's at the front of the frog. You'll notice that your fingers hang below the frog and the hair, and that's great. The thumb curls under to touch between second and third fingers, and that is how you grip your bow. We've been preparing really well, and now it's time to make sounds on the cello. The cello's 4 strings are C, G, D, and A. And what I just did is plucking or pizzicato. And it does make a sound because it makes the strings vibrate. And it is super fun. But it doesn't make a very sustained sound. So for that we need the bow. The bow makes a sustained sound because as you're drawing the bow across the string, the horse hairs grip the string and cause it to vibrate. And that's how you can get a continuous sound. So let's figure out how we're going to do that. Go to the tip and then grab the tip with your left hand firmly, not the hair, remember, but the stick. Now let go of your right hand and just slide it up gently to the tip and then back. Back to the frog, up to the tip again, back to the frog. Now let's go to the G string. Same thing. Slide your hand up very lightly, back to the frog. And then the C string. And then up to the A string. That is the arm movement that we use to draw the bow across the string. And you might notice that as your arm goes out, the elbow hinges and allows your arm to go straighter. And then it hinges back in and comes close to your body. Like so. So we're going to take that arm movement and use it to draw a bow on the D string. Now remember that you have to draw the bow in a straight line so that it's parallel to the bridge or the end of the fingerboard. And that's why that arm hinge movement is important, because that's the way that you're going to keep the bow straight. So the tip doesn't go up or down. You're just going to draw the bow straight across, watching that you're parallel to either the bridge or the end of the fingerboard. So here we go from the frog to the tip and back again. And there you have it. I'm so happy to have joined you for this journey with the cello. I wish you many, many hours of wonderful playing with your new best friend.